I'm Maheshika Halbeisen, and this is the Queen Elizabeth Leadership Podcast, the show where we discuss the leadership lessons from the book The Job Well Done, The Queen's Way to Successful Leadership.
Welcome back to the deep dive. The Queen's reign is fascinating.
Especially considering all the changes she saw during her lifetime.
It really is a treasure trove of leadership lessons just waiting to be unpacked.
This book really digs into the Queen's early years.
And it's amazing how much her childhood seems to have shaped her leadership style.
For instance,
Did you know that even as a young princess?
she was incredibly organized.
Really?
We're talking meticulously folding her clothes every night, keeping detailed records of Christmas gifts,
Wow.
that sort of thing.
It really highlights how our early experiences can have a lasting impact.
You might think,
Okay, so she was tidy.
what's the big deal?
But the book argues that it goes deeper than that.
It speaks to her strong sense of responsibility
Her meticulous attention to detail.
and her drive for order, qualities that became hallmarks of her reign,
And speaking of order,
or perhaps the lack thereof.
the book then takes us into World War II.
Talk about a crash course in resilience.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine being a young Elizabeth during that time.
With bombs falling on London.
Oh my gosh.
And instead of seeking safety elsewhere.
The royal family decided to stay put.
Wow.
Their decision to remain in London during the Blitz.
Sent a powerful message to the British people.
Wouldn't you say?
That's
It's a classic example of leading by example.
demonstrating courage and solidarity in the face of danger.
It's really no surprise that this experience had a profound impact on Elizabeth's sense of duty.
Right?
The book even quotes the Queen Mother as saying,
I am glad we've been bombed.
"It makes me feel like I looked the East End in the face."
Wow.
Now, that's a statement you don't hear every day.
It really underscores the depth of understanding she had for what people were going through.
And how vital it was for her to share in their experience,
It's about connecting with your people.
especially during challenging times. And it wasn't just about symbolic gestures.
The Queen wasn't content to simply stay safe.
Within the palace walls,
Right.
the book delves into her wartime service,
In the Auxiliary Territorial Service.
the ATS.
Okay.
Get this.
She trained as a mechanic and a driver.
Wow.
Talk about challenging expectations.
Here she was.
A princess.
She was getting her hands dirty.
Learning practical skills and contributing directly to the war effort.
It really resonated with the public.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
It shattered that traditional image of royalty,
And showed her commitment to serving her country.
regardless of her title,
These actions spoke volumes about her character.
and resonated deeply with those experiencing the war's hardships firsthand.
You know, it's one thing to read about historical figures.
But moments like these really bring their story to life.
It makes you realize that behind the crown,
She was dealing with the same uncertainties and anxieties as everyone else.
right?
Yet she chose to lead with such strength and purpose.
It's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah.
And speaking of inspiring moments,
We can't forget about her marriage to Prince Philip.
the book includes a really touching excerpt.
From a letter her father, King George VI.
Wrote to her on her wedding day.
Oh, wow.
It's full of fatherly pride, of course.
But you can also sense a touch of wistfulness.
A recognition that their relationship was changing as she stepped into this new role.
He even mentions how calm and collected she was.
Throughout the entire ceremony,
Really?
it makes you think about the immense pressure she must have felt.
Marrying the love of her life, while also being acutely aware of the weight of the crown she was destined to wear.
Yeah.
It's a poignant reminder that even monarchs experience the same complex emotions as everyone else.
It adds a layer of human vulnerability to the image of royalty.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And it underscores the sacrifices that leadership often demands.
Even amidst moments of great joy and celebration.
Right.
What's fascinating is how the author connects these pivotal moments in the Queen's life.
To the values that defined her reign.
She embodied a generation shaped by war
A generation that valued decency, discretion.
and a strong work ethic above all else. And those values, forged in times of extraordinary change and hardship, became the bedrock of her leadership style.
It's fascinating how they provided a sense of stability and continuity.
Even as the world around her was rapidly changing.
Right.
It makes you wonder what values will come to define the leaders of today.
How will their experiences shape their approach to leadership?
That's a great question.
It really highlights the ripple effect of leadership, how the values of one generation influence the next.
Speaking of influence,
You've covered a lot of ground here.
from the Queen's childhood to her wartime experiences and beyond.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
What can we learn from Queen Elizabeth's approach to leadership?
Even if our own kingdom is a little smaller,
You know, it really boils down to this,
true leadership isn't about wielding power
but about service resilience.
and an unwavering commitment to your values.
It's about showing up even when it's tough.
And inspiring others through your actions, not just your words.
You hit the nail on the head.
Think about the times you've been inspired by someone's leadership.
It's rarely about grand pronouncements, but rather their quiet dedication, their
Yeah.
willingness to roll up their sleeves.
And their commitment to something bigger than themselves.
Just like the Queen fixing those trucks during the war.
Exactly.
It really is a powerful reminder that leadership is a verb.
Not a title.
It's about what you do, not who you are.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the leadership lessons of Queen Elizabeth II.
We hope this gave you some food for thought.
And maybe even some inspiration to channel your own inner monarch.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership to new heights? Learn from the Queen? Follow us on this podcast and get your copy, The Job Well Done, The Queen's Way to Successful Leadership. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Maheshika Halbeisen and tell me how the Queen has inspired you.